Welcome. My name is Aphrodite, and with me I have Sherilyn and Monique with Rabin Gurley. They are strong partners with Condominium Associates. And what's really cool about this duo, this little dynamic duo, Sherilyn, you have a background in association management, right?
Quite extensive background.
Then you crossed over to the other side.
Yes, she crossed over. I did.
But really, such an interesting piece that you bring to the mix, right? Because you've lived both sides, and building these partnerships and strengthening these bonds is really important in what we do.
Yeah, I actually had a meeting last night, and I think it relates to everything that you've been saying. This particular community is struggling with leasing issues and tenant issues, and it's a large community in Hillsborough County. And the board asked me to attend a meeting because they expected it was going to go off the rails and everybody was mad. And, don't be, surprised if they're yelling and screaming. And I said, it's okay. We're used to that. We can go in there. And it really wasn't that bad. The benefit was because I had the relationship with the community, because I already knew what was going on, because we've been in the trenches with them for a while now trying to deal with this. I was able to actually go in and right in the beginning of the meeting, diffuse a lot of the tension. And I think that the board benefited a lot from having an established relationship. And I think that that's really something for, managers and board members to consider, is that you're so much better off if you develop a relationship with an attorney and other vendors before there's a crisis. Once the crisis arrives, you're in it. And if you're scrambling to hire an attorney at that time, it's a lot harder. It's harder for the attorney to get up to speed. It's going to cost a lot more money. They're not going to be familiar with your community and the people and the needs that they have and the specific desires. Because as you know, every community is different. And so having that long-term established relationship really goes a long way in helping the board to manage the community and understand what they need. And it helps us as their counsel to give them better advice, because the best attorneys are going to actually blend both what's legal with what's the practical advice for that community. And that's where the sweet spot is.
Yeah. These kinds of relationships don't happen overnight, but they last in the long term and really make a difference.
Absolutely. That was actually one of the reasons that we did contact Sherilyn, because our relationships with our clients as the firm grew, it was becoming more and more difficult to foster them, to make sure we were staying in regular contact with each and every one of our communities. And, as attorneys, our clients want work product from us. They have questions. They need questions answered. So we're furiously working every day. Let's get this answer. Let's go to this meeting. Let's do this, do that. We don't always have a lot of time to just pick up the phone and call a community we haven't heard from in a little while and simply say, hey, how are things going for you guys? Is everything going well? Is there anything that you need? And just that checking in. And so that is one of the things that Sherilyn actually brings to the table for us. So her role isn't just going out and getting clients. That's not exactly what it's about. It's actually more about helping us maintain the relationships with the clients we have and making sure that they all know that we're there, we're available, pick up the phone, we're close by.
We all know that it's harder to be mad at somebody that you really like, right?
It's hard to break up with somebody that you really like, right?
Unless they're your child, because they make me furious.
So with board members, with our clients, it's harder. It's easy to be mad when you haven't heard from someone,
right?
And you're not getting
and you
a response.
Don't know them.
But if you know them and you have a relationship with them, and there's no response, they'll come in a little softer. Hey, I haven't really heard, or I really need this today. Can they get this to me tomorrow? And then it's
I think it gets back to the trust component that you were talking about earlier as well, is when you have a history of working with your vendors and your professionals, and they've been responsive and they're constantly getting back to you, and you understand that they're looking out for your best interest, then it's easier to maybe understand that this is a bigger project. It's going to take a little bit more time for it to be reviewed and for them to give us a good answer. Or if you don't get an answer that you want, that happens a lot, where a client will come to us and then we want to do this, and we have to give them the bad news. No, you can't exactly do that. That's, we can maybe go in this direction or that direction. When that relationship and that trust is built, then, lands a little easier with them. They know that we're not out to, just make their lives miserable and harder.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually trying to guide them and actually make it easier.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah.
And it's that grace that you've earned, right? By building the relationship, doing all the things. So maybe if there is a larger project or something that's going to take a little bit more time to research or whatever that may take, right? They'll extend that grace to you. So I love it. I love that you're a part of this. I love that we can continue on the journey together and make our brand successful, make what we do successful, because we are committed, right, to doing this.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aphrodite.
if you really want to get to know each other better, let's go for a run.
I